I've always been drawn to places that feel untouched. Not just remote, but wild in a way that makes you feel small. The world is so big. So much of it remains unknown, unseen, and unscripted. There's something humbling about going somewhere you can't predict. It's a reminder that wonder still exists beyond the borders of what we know. Mongolia is one of those places, a name on a map that felt distant, both in geography and in imagination. I didn't grow up hearing stories about Mongolia. I knew of Genghis Khan, the empire, the horses, but not about the people still living out there, between mountains and sky. People who move with the seasons, sleep in circular tents, and count livestock instead of cash. So when I knew we were going to visit a nomadic family, I was excited. I couldn't wait to meet them, to see firsthand what this way of life looked like. We stopped by a supermarket called Nomin in Ulaanbaatar. It reminded me of Costco, wide aisles, tall ceilings, with merchandise displayed on pallets. It sells a huge variety of products, from local snacks to international brands. We were heading out to the grasslands to visit a nomadic family, and we'd be out there for a few days. It was going to be a long drive ahead, a few hundred kilometers of open space. We needed to stock up on snacks and drinks, and also bring something for the family we'd visit. We weren't sure what to buy for the nomadic family. My sister suggested we choose food that could last long and transport easily, things that would complement their lifestyle. So we picked out noodles, canned meat, biscuits, and chocolates. As we left the city, the scenery began to unravel, like a slow, wide breath. The roads gave way to dirt. Then the dirt gave way to plains. No signs, no fences, just space. You'd think that you'd see lots of yurts in Mongolia, but Mongolia is one of the most sparsely populated countries in the world. It's nearly the size of Western Europe, but with just over 3 million people. And nearly half of them live in the capital. Out here in the steppe, it's quite rare to see Gers close to the main roads. That's because nomads choose where to place their homes based on seasons. Right now, the wind is still strong, so they're camped near the foot of the mountains for protection. I asked our guide how he knew where to find the family. He said, "They live between two mountains. We will know when we see them." I was dumbfounded. The mountains looked the same to me. Did he really just use two natural markers on a vast plain? From far away, I saw what looked like tiny white dots on the landscape. As we got closer, those dots became 6 white Gers clustered together. What looked small at first soon revealed itself to be a miniature world. We were greeted with warm eyes and open hands. We didn't speak their language. They didn't speak ours. But that wasn't a problem. Hospitality here doesn't need translation. It is offered with smiles, with gestures, with bowls of tea passed into your hands. These Gers belong to one extended family. 3 were for the family themselves, and 3 were for guests. The exterior was simple. white layers of felt and canvas stretched over wooden frames, with a small solar panel catching the sun. The Gers is designed to be easily assembled and disassembled. The father and sons had set up all 6 in just 2 hours. We were invited into one of the family's Gers. The Gers was beautifully simple. Round wooden frame, felt-lined, no corners. Everything had its place. The stove was the heart. Beds lined the perimeter. A solar-powered light bulb glowed overhead. This was their living room, their dining room, their everything. One space for gathering, eating, and sleeping. Minimal, but not lacking. Inside, it was warm. From the stove, from the people. We sat down and they served us what they call white food. Traditional dairy products like dried curds, fresh yogurt, fermented butter, and bortsog. A fried dough that tastes like a cross between a biscuit and a memory. Then came sute tsai, salty milk tea, served hot in bowls. The food was not what I expected, but maybe that's the point of travel, to let your expectations unravel. Nomadic culture is deeply welcoming. It's more than tradition, it's survival. Out here, people depend on one another. Strangers are treated as guests, and guests are treated like kin. After the warm welcome, we were invited into another Gers, their kitchen, to watch them prepare Mongolian Khorkhog or Mongolian BBQ.
Making a Mongolian barbecue?
The family had butchered a lamb in honor of our arrival. The meat was cut into chunks, bones still attached. Nearby, fist-sized river stones were being heated over a fire. Once the stones were hot, Nomad Mama layered meat into a metal pot. The son carefully placed the hot stones between the meat. The father helped seal the lid tight to trap the heat. Salt and pepper were added. Then came carrots and potatoes on top. Steam hissed from the sides. Everything cooked together, low and slow. I'd heard of cow dung being used as fuel, but this was my first time seeing it in action. Out here, it's efficient, clean burning, and abundant. Nothing goes to waste. While the food was cooking, we went for a camel ride. The camels in Mongolia are Bactrian camels. They have 2 humps and have extremely thick fur. Mongolian Bactrians have adapted specifically to the extreme cold, high-altitude steppes and semi-deserts of Mongolia, rather than the hot deserts typically associated with camels. Camel riding is not as graceful as it looks. It's bumpy, a little awkward, and our camels were vocal, grunting and groaning like they had opinions. By the time we returned, lunch was ready. Nomad Mama plated the food, steaming chunks of meat on one tray, potatoes and carrots on another, smooth hot stones set aside. Locals eat with their hands, but for us they prepared utensils and even wet towels. On the table, fresh salad, tomatoes, pickled gherkins, and a big pot of rice. For my parents who don't eat beef or lamb, they had even prepared pork. Like Korean BBQ, we wrapped the meat in lettuce leaves. It was tender, savory, full of fire. Our guide showed us how to slice meat the local way: clean, precise, respectful. Nomads eat what the land provides. Their diet centers on meat and dairy, with few vegetables, especially in winter. After lunch, we sat outside with coffee, watching the animals roam. The dogs basked in the sun. Lambs tumbled through the grass. Camels standing in the breeze. Horses in the distance. The breeze was soft, the sun warm, and everything felt effortless. Our family sat together. No one was rushing. The moments stretched like time itself had slowed down. I took a walk. A few meters from the Gers was a small wooden hut, the toilet. No bowl, just a hole in the ground. Basic, yes, but enough. This family wasn't just surviving, they were thriving. The sons lived here. The eldest had a wife and an adorable toddler. Their herd included all 5 of Mongolia's traditional livestock: horses, sheep, goats, camels, and cattle, or yak. That's rare, that's wealth. In Mongolia, prosperity is counted in animals, not cash. They may look poor to some, but they're not. Mentally, spiritually, practically, they have what they need. But nomadic life is not easy. They move with the seasons, not randomly, but with precision, following centuries of ecological knowledge. In winter, they shelter in the mountains. As it warms, they shift toward rivers and pastures. Summer and autumn are critical. They must store enough food for themselves and their animals to survive the harsh winter. A single brutal season can mean losing everything. Many have moved to cities, some by choice. Others because a dzud, a weather disaster, wiped out their herds. Yet nomads are not isolated. They visit towns for supplies. They drive cars. Their kids go to school, sometimes by vehicle, sometimes by horse. They have solar power, phones, satellite TV. They're on social media. In this remote area, the past and present aren't at odds. They coexist. One story stuck with me: the postal service. Even when families move, mail finds them. The mailmen know where to go. Movements may be seasonal, but they're not unpredictable. Today, I have seen a world that doesn't revolve around time, but around the sun, the animals, the wind. A life that listens closely to the land. The Mongolian steppe isn't just a backdrop. It's alive. It decides where you live, how far you move, what you can carry, and what you have to leave behind. The horizon isn't something you chase, it's something you live within. And the nomads. They don't own much by modern standards, but they possess a kind of freedom that most of us have forgotten or never known. They don't measure wealth in square footage, but in the strength of their herds, the warmth of their fire, the health of their animals, and the closeness of family. They've learned to adapt, not by changing the land, but by understanding it. They move not out of restlessness, but out of rhythm. Out here, change is not disruption, it's survival. And maybe what struck me most is that this life, so seemingly far from ours, is not about escape. It's about presence. Everything they do is deliberate. Slow, but never idle. Simple, but never easy. As dusk fell, everything turned gold. We lit a small bonfire, poured glühwein into paper cups, sat in the glow of the setting sun. Just as the sun slipped behind the horizon, the family called their animals into the fenced enclosure. Wolves roam at night. One horse broke free. Within seconds, the eldest son jumped on another and took off after it. The dogs followed. It was fast, wild, cinematic. Against the glow of the steppe, it felt like a scene from a dream. We said goodbye and drove back across rivers and empty trails. The silence in the car felt different. Not empty, but full. Full of firelight, the scent of milk tea, and the hush of the steppe. I think what stays with me most is the pace of it all. The stillness, the way they wake with the animals and sleep when the stars rise. The way everything has a season, a cycle, a reason. Nothing rushed, nothing wasted. It made me wonder, how much of our own lives are built around resisting that flow? I don't know if I could ever live like this, but for a moment, I did. And in that moment, I remembered something important. That home isn't always a place. Sometimes it's a fire shared with strangers. Sometimes it's a silence that makes space for thought. Sometimes it's a horizon with no fences and a sky big enough to hold everything you're carrying.
And maybe, just maybe, that's enough.